try to talk to the security director.
For what?
Huh?
For what?
Just regarding the service dogs and service dog laws and stuff. They just told me to try to get and talk to the security director today before we left.
He was the lead last night that told us. He has a lot of tattoos and rings.
He told me to get in touch with him today.
Okay, for what? For
the service animal laws. Sadly, the staff has been like kind of misinformed about like what y'all are legally allowed and like not allowed to ask and the way it goes about. And I just wanted to try to take a moment to like re-educate and just see, because I've emailed the casino and haven't heard anything back. And every time I come up, I end up having issues. And so I just need to try to like talk about all of it and see if I can try to get it resolved.
Okay, I can get our supervisor over here. Let her talk to you.
Okay. Thank you. I like that it's a little more quiet over here too. It'll be easier to talk. Okay, I'm gonna step back and just kind of like sit right here. Right here, right, good spots. Head down. Good girl. It's alive. Head down.
That was the guy that we ran into last time.
The security director, yeah, he told me to. I think he may have been a part of it last night.
We seen you like a month ago. He was here a month ago.
Oh. Last night, the lead last night, the guy with all the tattoos, he told me today, because we were kind of talking, going over things, he told me today to get with the security director before we left. And so I just need to see if like there's a way to talk to him really fast.
Oh, him directly? I don't think he's in today.
Oh, he said he would be. Or just like I need somebody who's like in charge, like a big person, because so like with like the service dog laws, like what y'all are allowed to ask, what y'all aren't allowed to ask, and then like a lot of people trying to bring fake pets in and things like that cause a lot of issues. So every time I come in, I have access issues, even though she's a legitimate service dog. And so I just need to talk to some big person who's in charge. That way I can try to educate the laws properly. That way maybe I'll stop having access issues every time I come in. And that way it can also help you guys minimize the amount of pets that people are trying to pass off to service animals that aren't, you know? And so I just need somebody, I don't know if y'all have anybody else in mind, but because I've sent emails and I never got an email back, so.
The next person in line is going to be our supervisor, which is in the back office there.
With the lead last night, the thing with the rings and the tattoo, he told us to.
Yeah, he said today that. That's good. Wait.
I can figure out. Most likely they
Well, I guess if he isn't in, then just I guess the supervisor or whatever. I'm just trying to help like resolve. Like being a disabled. Okay, yeah, thank you.
Director, I think the office.
Right, no, you're fine. It's just like being like a legitimately disabled person. I know I don't look like it. Like I look like a normal, healthy individual. But like it's just hard coming in because we like to come up a lot. And like every time I've come in, I've had issues because people want to ask for IDs. And you know, those aren't really real, but that's what you guys have been told to talk about. You guys have been told to ask for IDs. Y'all are doing y'all's job. Because people, if you go online and just want to bring their pets everywhere, go into the fake websites and they buy IDs for their pets, and then it's, you know, they hand those out. So then you guys expect to see that for service dogs when they aren't there. And it causes a lot of issues because with like federal law, there isn't paperwork, or at least there's nothing y'all can ask for. But people who abuse the laws, of course, they make it harder because they're like, oh, well, look, I have an ID. It's a service dog. Just because they would bring their pets out. Oh, yeah, she's a service dog. You can tell by the behavior. And so, like, last night we had a little issue up here, but that got resolved with, did y'all say clothes? Yeah, that got resolved with him. He was like, I'm just going to make a judgment call here. And then I got resolved with him, and then we went across to go into the bistro. And I got to thinking that they called security on me over there, said I couldn't have my dog. My blood sugar was low. I was having, like, going into multiple medical episodes. My heart rate was extremely high. And so they called security, so we waited. I went to walk, and I just went to walk right around, like, the railing to the nearest seat so I could sit down. And she got so upset and, like, started to lose it because I was sitting down. Like, I had, you know, my medical problems, and so I'm just like, I feel like the casino itself should be a little bit better, you know, educated. And I feel like, you know, no hard feelings, not trying to be mean or, like, you know, issues going on in the moment, but just trying to, like, take a moment to, like, stop and educate to maybe where, yeah. It's not that I have to, but you don't look at me and tell, but, like, if somebody came in with a wheelchair, are you going to ask for an ID for a wheelchair, you know? It's medical equipment. I know she's a dog, but she's still medical equipment, too. Yeah, you can tell by the way she's just laying there, but, yeah.
What's going on? Explain to me.
Okay.
Karen,
No, I think at 12 last night told me to try to get with the director today. So, nothing's happened today, but it's just every time we come up we have issues. And so I know by looking at me, like, I look normal, I look healthy, I don't look like I'm a disabled individual. And you can't see, like, what my heart's doing and my blood, you can't see that just from looking at me. And so, and I know a lot of people come in with pets and they're trying to pass, well, they try to pass their pets off as service animals when they're not, you know? And so that caused a lot of issues because these people will bring in IDs and say, oh, well, this is a service dog, even though the dog's not behaving, they'll show an ID to try to get access. But with federal law, and I've got these cards here, with federal law though, like, there is no paperwork that, like, anybody's able to ask about. So every time I come in, it's like, oh, well, where's your paperwork? And it's like, well, I don't have paperwork. And then, like, well, y'all say, well, y'all have to ask for it. And so that's when it, like, becomes this long thing. And I'm like, well, legally, you know, you're not allowed to ask for it because it doesn't exist. And then they'll be like, well, there's ID cards. And so then I have to explain that the ID cards that you get them off of fake registration websites online, where you can pay like $100 and you can register your pillow as a service dog. That doesn't make a service dog. You know, it's the training that makes it a service dog. And so I just, as much as we've been coming in, it's like every time we come in, there's an issue. Yesterday with 12, that got resolved really quick because he was like, I'm just going to make a judgment call here. Like, she's obviously a service dog. And then when we were done playing, it was probably like 2 o'clock yesterday, or 2 o'clock this morning, we walked over to go eat at the bistro. And we got in, and I got denied access immediately. And they're like, you can't have a dog in here. And they were wanting IDs and paperwork. I'm like, well, you know, you can't ask me for that. Like, she's a service dog required for disability. She does medical alerts. They call security. So I was actually in the middle of dealing with a medical episode. Like, my blood sugar was bottoming out. My heart was extremely high in that moment. Like, I wasn't feeling good. I needed to get something to eat. So I went to, like, the bistro, like, where the rail is. I went to, like, walk right around to go sit in a posted chair just to go to sit. I was in a dress. Like, I can't just sit in the floor at that moment. And the manager over there at the bistro last night, she started losing it because I walked her out to sit down. She's like, oh, you can't have a dog, you can't have a dog. I'm like, I don't feel good. Like, you're just gonna have to, like, we're already waiting on security. Like, I've got to sit down my whole semester. I pass out sometimes. And that's why, you know, I've got her. It's all my medical problems. So security over there came over. It was an older woman with longer, like, gray hair. She was great. She resolved the whole thing with the manager and all that. But I just feel like if the casino as a whole was better educated, it would help. Like when we come in and then like other people who have like legitimate service dogs. So like these have like the laws on like what y'all are allowed to ask and aren't. There's another thing. If you open it up, there's more. You can keep that. I don't know if it'll help. I've got a ton of them.
We know about the laws, about the, you know, we're not supposed to, but at the same time, I need my job.
Yeah.
So whatever my job requires me to do as
So
far
y'all
as-
are being
we
told
ha-
to
we
by
ha- we
somebody
ha-
else.
Well, the only way we can identify if somebody has a dog that is like you were saying, a pet versus a service animal,
Yeah.
we have to have something to say it is or not.
Well,
Because if a person comes in and they got a dog and they say, oh, it's a service animal, and then they have nothing, completely nothing.
Gray area.
and I
You see
understand
what I'm
that.
saying?
And I get that, I do, because, and I wish the U.S. would go about doing a proper, like, ID or registration.
Right.
But since they don't and people abuse it, the best way to determine is not to ask for paperwork, because it really doesn't exist. Like, if you go through a program, they might give you paperwork saying the dog completed training. I've got paperwork from my doctor stating that I do need a service dog. But that's not going to be stuff you carry on you know?
But when you get the dog trained to be a service animal, do they give the dog
They
certification?
don't give them IDs or stuff like that.
They don't give them any type of paperwork saying that they completed their training?
They'll give you, sometimes they'll give you like some programs, not all of them, will give you paperwork just saying that it completed training at that program. But that's not, they'll even tell you you don't show this to anybody because
Okay.
it's not something that is necessary, because owner training is also allowed in the U.S. And so if you owner train your service dog, they still have to meet the same standards as a program service dog. And so sometimes even if you owner train, you wouldn't have access to that training paperwork, even though the dog's still in the same standards.
And that's not that's what like we is about the question. So that's
Asking, if you ask, don't just ask, is it a service animal? Ask, is it a service animal required for a disability? Because when you're specific like that, a lot of times people are like, oh, well, it's emotional support. And
Not
then you
allowed
know,
those either.
yeah, and then you know, well, okay, emotional support animals aren't service animals, so that weeds it out immediately. So let's say they say, yes, it's required for disability. Then ask for task, is it trained before? And then, of course,
And I do that a lot of times, you know, and not just to be nosy, but to actually find out what the animal is going to do
Yeah.
if the person is having an anxiety attack or
right,
an
and
asthma attack. You know what I'm saying?
She's trained in multiple medical alerts. She does anxiety responses and stuff for me too, because I have PTSD as well. And so the best way to determine it is really off the dog's behavior.
Okay.
And so like IDs, because anybody can come in. Let me see if I can get her to act a fool. Maya. All right, I'm gonna give her a command, but I'm trying to use it as an example. Maya, say hi. So if I'm over here, my dog's doing this, and she's at the end of the leash, that's not a service dog. Maya, puss.
Right.
Pups.
I do understand that.
Yeah,
the
so
service
you
animals
can-
are trained just to be service animals. They're not friendly, petting, just
Well, she's
playing
friendly
around.
and she will say hi if I tell her to.
Right.
But like if you see a dog, if they show you, I could have shown, like let's say I walked in and she's at the end of the leash like that. Well, here's her ID. So I'm showing you an ID that says she's a service dog, but she's not behaving like a service dog. So that's the point of those IDs. Is anybody can go online. And she's actually tasking right now the licking. She's like my anxiety little. But so anybody can say, well, here's an ID, but their dog's not trained. So the best way is if you don't know, observe the dog in the bar for a moment before even like trying to ask. If the dog's behaving, then it's kind of obvious, you know, that, okay, well, there's really no point even asking, especially once they're labeled, and which they don't have to be labeled, but most people do because it helps the public to know that it's a service dog, you know. So if it's behaving, that's kind of your given.
Right.
Now, if the dog's not behaving, and you're like, okay, well, that dog's going up to everybody, that doesn't really look trained. If it's not behaving like this, that's when you would go up and be like, okay, is this? And you would go about your question.
Right.
Now, then, let's say she is a legitimate service dog. So let's say that even with her being a legitimate service dog, all of a sudden she starts acting unruly and I can't control her behavior. She's barking, she's going after people, she's jumping on people. At that point, y'all can conceivably, even with her being a legitimate service dog, kick her out because she's not being able she should be seen and not heard. And most people, like when we're sitting at the tables, people are like, wait, you have a dog over there? Because it'll come up in conversation. I'm like, yeah. They won't even know she's there because she's so Right, and that's how it should be. And so I just don't know like who to talk to. But just trying to make it easier because when I come in and they're like, oh well you need an ID. And then it causes like I already have issues with like all my medical problems and my anxiety. So not only is like the talking and stuff like anxious for me, because like I try my best to educate because if I don't do it, who's going to? You know, it's kind of how I feel. But then like when I'm having medical episodes like I was having last night trying to get in to eat food, you know, I shouldn't be worried about like, am I about to like pass out and like go unconscious with my blood sugar's bottoming out and my heart's so high and I can't even sit down without being fussed at right now because they don't know the proper way to go about it.
And at that point, if that was to happen, then the business would be liable.
Yeah. Like me, if I'm standing there, so like last night, let's say they would have, when I sat in the chair, they would have came up and like forced me out of my seat or something. If I would have like passed out and hit my head, which I do a lot, and so, you know, if you hit your head the wrong way, it can kill you. You know, that's just as simple as it can be. It can kill you. Yeah, and so it's, which like I understand, it's hard because of how the U.S. is. Other countries do have legitimate like identification and stuff. The U.S. doesn't. I wish they would go about doing something that would minimize it, but then they would have to shut down all the other websites. They'd have to find a way to make it where these IDs that are out and about now, they would have to find a very distinct way to change it and shut down those websites. And so I just don't know. I don't know who to talk to, but I'm trying to make it, I guess, easier not just for myself, but other people with disabilities.
Right.
Because if I was in my wheelchair, so she's medical equipment under the law, so it's a wheelchair. So I actually do use a wheelchair part-time, depending on how bad I'm feeling that day. Sometimes it's safer for me to sit and roll and not pass out than walk. But if I was, like, let's say I came into my wheelchair, are you going to stop me and ask me for an ID for my wheelchair? You kind of get what I'm saying? Like, I feel...
But the liability comes along with the animal.
Yeah, and I get that.
Because of the fact that the resort doesn't allow pets.
Yeah, and I get that.
You know what I'm saying? That's the hard part now.
Yeah.
Okay. Say for instance, somebody walk through, they show a card, they actually have a legitimate dog as you do.
Yeah.
But they have, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
But they got a card, they
Right.
say yes, I got a certain animal, whatever.
Right.
Okay. Now, this dog out the blue sees something.
And it bites somebody or something. Right.
Well, just like our policy is in place,
Mm-hmm.
you know that with the animal, you know,
Oh, yeah.
you have to keep an eye on it to make sure it's not running off, biting
Yeah,
people and
yeah.
stuff like that. This, you know, kind of like the borderline,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
And
We have
I
to
get
ask certain
that.
questions because people do have
Yeah, I
things
get
like
that. I get that. And that's the thing with like pets versus like service dogs
Right.
is that she has literally been attacked by other dogs and she lets them attack her. Like she is, service dogs are so low. We were actually standing waiting for tables. We were standing waiting for like an hour just waiting for tables last night. And of course, kind of like in front of the cashier area, like on this side of the tables. And she was, I want to say you were like set back. I want to say I was like here and he was like here. We just kind of had her tables were in front, so we were just trying to stay on the walkway. A guy actually walked through, came down, stepped right on her. She actually has a bald spot on the back of her leg because he ended up completely ripping hair out of her. Didn't even see her, stepped right on top of her. All she did was move. She didn't try to fight. She didn't yell. She didn't whine. She just tried to, like, just stood at the front and tried to move her butt and, like, back towards me. And so, service animals that are actually trained and have been trained properly, even when you hurt them, they're not going to react negatively because that's the liability for us. What do kids like to do? They like to run up and just grab them. You have people that want to grab their tails and things like that, so they have to be desensitized. And so I understand like y'all's liability with like public safety and things like that, but I guess for me it's the struggle of having to fight for my rights and the access and like just the paperwork and the ID part. Like, how am I supposed to show that when it's not a legitimate thing? Yeah, I could go online and buy it and make my life easier. You know, she is legitimate service dog. I'd be like, yeah, here it is. But then that's going to make it harder for the next team that comes in, the next legitimate team, because they aren't required. And so then it's just going to feed into that whole scam that's going on. And so it's a big balancing act that I try really hard, and I feel like eventually the U.S. is going to do something where, Department of Justice is going to issue some sort of paperwork or something that'll help.
Right, because I thought there should at least be maybe a state ID for service animals or
Some
something.
states have optional registry for their service animals, but it's not that's just like specific, like there's only a couple of states in the U.S. that do that. But it's like as a whole federal law, of course trumps state law, and federal as a whole says it's not, and says you can't ask for it. But then, you have these websites that are like, oh, well, people want to bring their pet somewhere, here, you can buy this kit, we're going to send it to you, and now your dog's a service dog, even though it's not trained. And so it's a very difficult area, and I wish it was different. But I don't know what to do just about making it easier. Because I know y'all are trying to make sure pets don't come in and that y'all are safe and other patrons are safe. But then as a disabled individual, I just want to live my life like everybody else. I want to be able to walk in and not be questioned and just, she's not there, I've already got to deal with the dog at my place, and so I feel like you get what I mean. And so I don't know, who to talk to or what, but I figured I would at least try and trying's not going to hurt anything, and so I don't know if there's something you can try to do later or
There's
maybe.
nothing I could possibly do. But our directors are out on some type of business trip and they won't be back until maybe Friday.
Okay.
Maybe. Because I don't know if their business trip, if they're going to come in on Friday, they might not come in.
Till the next week, right? Okay.
I
Yeah,
just
we
know,
live in Alabama, so
yeah. But I know they won't be back this week. But the most I can say to do is make a call and let our secretary take a message from you with your name and information on it, and he'll call you back.
Okay.
Now that's the best way to do it because I know I might have the paper in my pocket for a week long
Yeah.
and forget to look back at it.
Right, no, and I get that. Y'all got a lot y'all are doing here.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I get that 100%.
But he was the best person to talk to.
Okay.
Or do y'all have a VIP home?
We have the player cards,
Okay.
the silver player cards.
Sometimes you can talk to guest services. Guest services gives out the information to different departments because the things that we deal with, nobody in the other department knows about.
Right.
If a guest is smoking pot in their hotel room, even hotel front desk doesn't know what the procedure is because the security deals with the bylaws of everything.
Right.
Whereas they just put people in place.
Yeah, I understand.
So there's a lot of things that other departments wouldn't understand or know how to take on
Right.
without calling for us. And sometimes it's not as always as a big of a situation as they think it is.
Right.
Because we know it's, okay, we can sit down and talk to these people and find out what's
That was
going
kind of
on.
how it was last time when we were at the bistro because they were like, well, we're going to call security. And I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
She walks up and she's looking back and forth I could see it on her face. She's like, I don't understand why I'm here.
Right.
And because she was just laying like this. I was sitting in a chair. She was laying like this. I'm like, she's acting crazy right now, man. Look at her. She's so untrained.
Right.
And so she ended up having to go up and tell the manager. Well, the initial security guard that had walked up right before her, I guess she was the lead over there. She had told him to go to the little checkout desk area in the bistro to tell the manager she was kind of giving him issues. So she actually walked back around, leaned over, and she was like, no, that's a service dog. That's a service dog. And she kind of went off on the manager over there, and the manager shook her head and was walking away and was upset. I'm just like, it's not that deep. It's not that deep. And I feel like she just felt more offended that she had called security over and she was wrong. Which I understand nobody likes being wrong. Nobody likes feeling like that when they think they're right. And I get that. But at the same time, it's like, she was never doing anything wrong, I wasn't in the way. I was just trying to get food and take care of my health, know. And so I get that, and that's how that security guard, she was the look on her face, she was like, I don't know why I'm here right now. Because they thought it was a bigger deal than it was.
Exactly.
They didn't want to listen to me.
Now, I'm not 100% sure if Dawn will be in tomorrow, but she's our security, I was about to say director. I know. She's our security secretary.
Okay.
She was feeling under the weather yesterday, so I don't know if she'll be here tomorrow.
Okay.
But if you call sometime this week, she can leave a message for the director because all the calls they go straight through her in order
Right,
to get
right.
in contact with the director or the assistant director.
Okay.
But in service, where are y'all staying? Over here, over there.
Well, we're actually about to leave.
Oh,
So,
y'all
yeah, I wanted to try to catch somebody really quick because we came in yesterday.
Okay.
And so I was trying to just catch somebody before we left. But next time when we come in, you know, I don't know if that would be maybe better to try to maybe plan something ahead of next time. That way maybe I could, like, have a sit down.
And
I feel like that might be better.
And our director, he does take into consideration that some people do have issues with their animals. So what he'll do is he'll sit down and he'll talk to people, you know, that have those issues, and he'll say, okay, well, if you let me know when you're coming, or you let your host know when you're coming, he'll send us an email so we can kind of be aware.
Okay.
Give me just a moment.
And I almost feel like for the casino itself, because I know I've been to a hospital that did this, where on like verification that it was a legitimate service animal, they would hand out like a bandana for them that said like their hospital name, and they would only give it to the dogs that they had already deemed like, yes, this is a legitimate service animal. So I don't know if even something like that would help y'all's casino, just so that everybody else, like if you're walking through and let's say she has on the purple bandana that y'all hand out, you know, that whatever, everybody just sees it.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, yeah, she's already been verified. Because like a lot of zoos, you have a specific check-in spot when we go to zoos. We go check in one spot. They verify that she's a legitimate service animal. They tell us where, you know, like the certain spots with certain animals. Like we can't go to bird aviary areas, obviously, you know.
Yeah.
But we check in there. So if the casino could even have like one specific area to go check in, and then just that one person be educated enough to decipher, is this a legitimate service dog or not, and then give some kind of icon just for like to walk to the casino with to make it easier on everybody else. And
That's
so
not a bad idea.
I feel like
Like a silver one.
yeah, it could be silver, it could be gold. I mean, whatever it is, whether y'all want to give like a I don't know, just something that, you know, could easily just be placed in
That was a good idea, man.
something that could be maybe easily be placed on the dog. That way it just doesn't cause as many issues, you know? Yeah. So,
Makes a lot of sense.
but thank you so much for taking your time. I really do appreciate
No
it.
problem. I need a service animal myself.
Do you? Well, have you looked at the programs?
I don't like animals, but I want to get my baby who I think it was. And somebody was like, they're good for anxiety. They help good training for anxiety and stuff.
Well, it's not always the breed of dog, the personality of dog.
Okay.
So, like, she's a mixed breed from a shelter.
Okay.
So she's actually a rescue. And so, like, you can get a purebred dog, and it's not going to have the right personality and temperament. It's going to be too energized. It's not maybe, it won't be as easy to go. Because some dogs come through places and, like, they shut down because they can't handle the type of environment. So that's the difference. So you have to look for the personality and temperament of the dog. You want a calm dog that when you show it to, like, something new and, like, place it out of its comfort zone, right, it doesn't shut down. Like, it takes it in confidence, but at the same time, you don't want it to be too, like, crazy, run all over the place. It's a fine line of the type of temperament you want. And then, like, if I sit here, if I come over here and I step on her tail, that's all I want. I don't want, and I didn't do it hard. Good sits, good plots. I don't want her to turn and try to bite somebody. If a kid comes up and pulls on her ear, I want her to just sit there and to take it. Good girl, yeah. Good plots. I want her to sit there and take it and not react badly, because that's stuff that happens in public, sadly. And so it's temperament, personality you look on more than you do breed. And then anxiety training for like psychiatric service stuff, that's some of the easiest training I've ever done in my life. And that is, you still gotta do all the basic obedience to public access, how to behave. But that task training for the anxiety response is easier than medical work for sure. So, but it's the temperament of the dog. You want a dog that can handle being manhandled and not react negatively to it, you know? So, good girl. Yeah. But all right, thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
I appreciate
If I
it.
can help y'all with anything else, just let me know. My name's Drake.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I hope y'all all have a great
You
day.
too. I appreciate it.
Thank
I'm gonna
you.
use this for myself.
Yes, ma'am.
Y'all have a good day.
Thank you too. Which way? We gotta walk through here to get to the parking deck. Okay. Hey. No, hang on. Have a good day.
Thank y'all.
Big girl on my mind. Her bestie slipping. Alright, give me just a second, you guys. I'm trying to walk through and not be obvious that I'm on my phone because I'm definitely not supposed to be doing this. Let me get somewhere where I can look, and we're going to the car right now. So we will get to where I can go over all your comments and stuff in here in just a minute, so just hang on. You're such a good girl. Yeah. This vest. I cannot wait for our new stuff to come in. I'm so over how this vest looks. Maya, yeah. God, don't get too excited. You're a good girl, though. You are. You're a good girl. I'm praising her too much. I know. This vest, baby. As soon as we like walk out, I'm like, they're like going crazy happy after a moment. Cause she just did so good. Like I really, like I didn't measure, but I put pressure on her tail to make her move.
Hey, did they go look for the shoes?
Oh, Winter, did we go for a shoe? Thank you. Wait. That's why you did that, huh? I wouldn't have noticed until we got back to the car. Thank you. Wait. That's a souvenir. Magnificent. Hey guys, from glass, from the slipping on the floor, from the heat of the pavement, the same way the shoes protect our feet, protect theirs. Y'all have a good day. Yes, ma'am. Everybody knows me now. She's feeding off of me so much right now. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and walk up here. Do you wanna? I guess we go ahead and go in the bathroom. Let me get off this door and go to the phone.
Closest restroom.
Go back around this corner and you'll see it.
Like the other drink machine, it'll be close to the wall.
I'm gonna wait up here. You go ahead. I'm gonna wait up here.
Take that right.
Oh God. Okay. So, y'all heard all of that. We're trying here. We're trying. Oh, so many comments. I'm probably gonna have to wait until we get to the card to read all of this. God bless the notifications. Oh my gosh, Fire Iron alive. It's alive. I couldn't read any comments. Ah, did it freeze? I'm so sorry, guys. Austin recorded, so whatever freezed he has. Might leave it. Good girl. Somebody was trying to talk to her. Good job. I try, you guys. Like, thank God I took my medicine before that. Like, my anxiety's still kind of... I'm letting Austin drive home, that's for sure. Yeah, these, everybody on staff, like, even the lead security on this half of the casino last night, 12, he was great. Because, like, they were trying to do the whole paperwork ID. I got some of that on video, and then my phone stopped. So I didn't get the whole interaction, but he was like, I'm gonna make a judgment call, and ended up was just like she's obviously like yada yada, but we're just being told what we're told, like we have to ask because that's what they're being told to do. They're just doing their jobs. And then the lead on the other side of the casino, because we're on the Silver Star side, and on the Golden Moon side is where we had issues going into the restaurant. And the lead over there, she was really great too. But I get that they're also, you know, they're trying to keep their jobs and do what they have to be told. And I understand where they're coming from, but there's got to be a better way to do it. I'm literally sitting on the floor right now waiting on Austin. Can I just... Oh, yeah, I'm trying... I'll finish with the comments here in a second. Hang on. You gonna help me up? Good, Maya, stand. Good girl. I don't know if you guys got to see it before we got in the spot. Alright, so since we're back on, I really think I want to try to go, I don't know what I need to do or what I should do or how I should go about it, but like, I really feel like I need to try to start like a movement, I guess. I don't know. Bigger, you know?
Revolution. Service dog revolution.
Service dog revolution.
I want to make that like a YouTube
Okay.
channel and call it that.
So are you guys able to like hear me good right now? I'm still trying to get through. Sorry. So I don't know if you guys got to see a moment because my internet was in and out. Did you guys get to see like in the parking deck when I was taking all of Maya's stuff off and she got to have like little play moment in the parking deck? Did y'all get to see that or no? Because I literally took everything. Destroy the oppressors. Oh, y'all didn't get to see. Darn, I tried. I'm sorry. So when we got back to the car, I took all of her gear off. We were in the parking deck, and I was just like, okay, And like she was just like running, like doing circles around me, like jumping up on me, and just like we just had like a little play moment where, because she did good. So like when we were in the casino, when I was like explaining to them, like I walked over and I didn't hurt Maya by no means, but I very, very, very lightly put my foot on her tail and just applied just enough pressure. Like it didn't hurt her, just enough pressure to where she wanted to move away from it though. And so when she moved, I was like, that's what you want. Like you don't want a dog that's gonna like react and bite. You want a dog that's just gonna move away from it, you know? And then I grabbed Maya's ear and I just kind of like tugged on a little bit. Again, nothing that could hurt her, but things that we do to desensitize our service dogs anyway. So it was kind of like I was doing like training in front of them to show them like, this is what you want. Because she literally got trampled by a guy last night who wasn't paying attention and literally walked right on top of her, ripped out a patch of her fur. Like she has a bald spot, like a clear like bald spot like this big on the back of her leg, where he trampled right on top of her. And he was like, oh. He was a big guy. Like he was probably 200 plus pounds, kind of big guy. You know what Maya did? Just stood up to move. That's all she did, was try to move away. Like she didn't yelp, she didn't whine, she didn't try to bite. Like that's what you want, you know? And so I was just like explaining that to them. And like I get, like they're trying to make, because they don't allow pets, so they're trying to make sure that everything on their end is right, you know? But oh, you guys, I sat in the floor with her after that for like 2 minutes, just like sitting there, like petting her, loving on her, like double checking, making sure she was okay. And like after that, like she was like tucking herself into me so hard, like mom. And then me and Austin made sure to like, me and him were both like straddling her in positions to where like he was blocking off one side like of her front end, like towards her face, and then I was like on the other side blocking off like kind of her butt. That way, like if somebody else went to walk through,
just stand on both her sides.
Yeah, like that way if somebody else went to like walk through, they couldn't step on her head because he was closer to her head on that side, and I was closer to her butt on this side. That way we could like push away anybody else that happened. And she was out of the way. Like we had her place, like the main walkway was behind us, and I had her in front of us because we stood there waiting for a table to play blackjack for like an hour. And so it really was. It was awful. It was so packed last night. And so during that time, I was just trying to make sure that, you know, she was out of the way. But this guy, I'm sure he was drunk and just wasn't paying attention, and he just didn't see her. And then like when we play our blackjack tables, anytime like the person next to me, because Austin is always, it seems like you're always on my right side, but he was on my right side and I was
there's that steakhouse.
in my back.
There's that Japanese steakhouse.
Okay, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, once we started playing, we stayed at that table for a couple hours, and so every time somebody moved and somebody else came in, I was just like, hey, just like I pointed down, that way they were aware like she was there. And he was like, oh, like so there was a guy that was initially there when I sat down, he was aware, and when he left and another guy came in, which he was pretty nice. Just her, I just like don't want you to be startled, like just wanted you to let you know like she's here. She was tucked like from like my seat to Austin, like right there, like curled up, like really tight. Like I don't know how she was comfortable, but she managed. Yeah, we do need to get gas. And so I was just like being very careful, like if we were at a table that like people when they were coming in going, that way one if somebody was allergic, they'd be like, oh well, I'm allergic to dogs, they wouldn't have to be like right next to her, right? And then two, that way like if she moved to stretch or whatever, if that person wasn't paying attention, put their foot down and happen that, you know, whatever, like they were aware. Like it's just it's always security because of course they call oh congratulations Sabrina, of course, you know, they'll call like security for everything. It's a service dog. Why are we even trying to call security to verify?
Security talked to us and okayed it. They went over and spoke back to
He had a tag on. He had a name tag on. He was somebody that would work there. So like last night when it first happened, when we were standing there waiting on our table, there was this guy a red shirt that had been standing there leaning and watching us for a while, and he called security. And then like we had like, what was it, like 3 or 4 people right there that ended up coming up, and then the lead came up, and he was great. So apparently his name was 12. It's kind of cool though, whatever.
I think that's just what they go by numbers.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And so 12, like I was explaining the laws to him, and he is like, we require them that, but that's what we're told. Like, we just have to do what we're told. And, you know, I told him, I was like, I understand, you know, like, you're trying to do your job. Like, she's, you know, they don't exist, so how am I going to show that? He was just like, I'm just going to make a judgment call, like, yeah, issues and isn't going to be harmed to anybody. And so that went good. And then we played on our table for like 3 hours last night. And then it was like 2 o'clock. We were done, 2:30. I think it was like 2. And they were like, okay, well, you have a comp meal, so complimentary meal. And our dealer at the time was like, his name was Nicholas. He was very, very nice. He's the one who told us. He was like, because we were like, well, where should we go? And he recommended the bistro, which was across just over the skywalls, because I had a dog and they didn't want to be informed. Yeah, that's gonna be uploaded, don't worry. But it was just like, I wasn't feeling good. My blood sugar was literally low. My blood sugar was low. My heart, like, in the midst of like all of that, like my heart had spiked, peaked to like 154. Mind you, I had taken my beta blocker. Was it 2 or 3 times? Yeah. Was it 2 or 3 times? So even after having my beta blocker multiple times, my heart was still peaking and getting high, and I wasn't feeling good. My blood sugar was dropping like whole like episode. I literally was like getting very faint and lightheaded. Like I started seeing spots. Like I felt like, okay, I may or may not like pass out. Like I have to sit down right now. And oh my gosh, she had already done on the way up there, and like on the way to when we're walking across, like go up there to the restaurant. And so like I already knew that I wasn't doing good, and she had already told me that. And so it was just a matter of like I had to sit down, and all because I walked to the closest table, because there were no other seats, to sit down. The manager, this was right before the security got up there, the manager, like, you can hear Austin like in the video, because she goes to say something, and then Austin's like, oh wait, what was it you said when I walked to sit down at the table and she went to say something
about how you could pass out, and then you know, that's federal law. Sorry, I said something else.
Oh no, she's medical equipment. That's federal law. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some smart ass shit, because I was really irritated.
Like I was.
We were both tired and just fed up with
like
it.
I didn't feel good, and so when security finally got over, the lead security on that side of the casino, older woman, she was
She tried
great.
to stop you because you needed to sit down. I was just like, all right, let me put my foot down here for a second.
Like, because I heard her, and I was just gonna ignore her and wait for security. Like, I'm not gonna let you risk my health at this point. Like, I know my rights. I know I'm not wrong by coming into the restaurant. Whatever.
Gas thing.
You just push it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like I know I'm not wrong here, like, but I've got to sit down, and nothing is going to affect my health at this point. Like, my health comes first. I don't care how you feel about it. So I sat down, and I was just ignoring her, and I was just gonna wait for security. When the security got over, it was a younger guy, and then his lead came up, and she's watching, she's looking back and forth, like, to me and the dog. Her facial expressions killed me. And I'm explaining to her, I'm like, look, like, she's acting, I was literally like, my dog's acting crazy right now. So Maya's laying there in a downstay, right? And I'm like, look at her, like, she's just acting crazy right now. Like, she's so untrained, like, not behaving. Like, I'm being a smart ass about it, because at that point, like, come on, y'all. And I tell the woman, I was like, I don't feel good. Like, my health right now, I need to get some food. Like, they're not wanting to let me in because of this and this and that. And the woman literally, the security lady, she was like, okay, you take care of you. Like, and I was like, so like, we're good? And she's like, yeah, you're good. So she told the other security guy to like go up to the manager of the restaurant area and tell her. Well, the manager wasn't want to listen, so she turned around, and this is on the video. She turned around, walked back up, the security lady, the lead, walked back up and leaned over, like literally leaned over and like around the counter. It was like, no, that's a service dog. And it was just like kind of like popped off on her a little bit. Like I couldn't hear everything she was saying, but you could tell that she was popping off some. And the security woman, she was just like, you can see her like shaking her head no, like she wasn't happy. When she brought us our menus, I was like, thank you so much. And she just like walked off, and I'm just like, how rude, like for real, you know. But you know, just trying to, I'm tired of having issues. This is the last time we came, it was annoying, but it was simpler. It wasn't this drawn out. It was 2 different altercations last time, but they were very,
Everybody wanted to put
last
their
time it
2
was
cents
very
in.
minuscule. This time it was a lot more drug out. The worst part of it this time was the restaurant.
Yeah.
Like,
She was determined, that manager.
yeah, she was so rude. Like, and of course she had a bad taste in her mouth, you know, thinking she was right and being told she was wrong.
Oh, wait till y'all see the video.
Yeah, like,
The security lady, when she went over there to correct this
I was just kind of
manager,
talking about, like, kind of leaned around, like you could tell she was kind of telling her off just
that
a little
is
bit.
service animal. You
Yeah,
you
like,
leave them be, and you,
It's obvious, you know, but they need to do something better.
You can clearly hear her say that, like, that is a service animal.
Can you hear that
Yeah,
part?
that's,
I couldn't
showed
hear
you in
the,
the hotel this morning.
I didn't catch it, but I could tell that she was saying more than that.
Oh yeah, and then she nodded her head so many times, like shaking her head.
Like, you were not arguing with me right now. I'm security. You're gonna listen to me, and you're gonna leave this girl alone. Like,
you let them sit and eat.
literally, like that is. But you know, so, just maybe going to Biloxi and
Thinking like whenever
my
we
family.
go to Biloxi, that we should at least try to do that too.
But if we're going to the casino, we're not gonna have the kiddos.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know. We'll figure something
We
out.
still need to, either way.
Yeah, I need to go see them. All right, we're hitting a dead zone, so.